Kaye Spivey. Happy Valentine's Day or Singles Awareness Day or February the 14th to you. This is actually an extra special day for me because 2 years ago on Valentine's Day, my chapbook was published by a small indie press. That chapbook, An Isolated Storm, is my first and so far only collection, although I'm planning to publish another collection this year. Last year, I decided to break away from that small indie press and I republished a second edition of An Isolated Storm myself, which is still for sale, and I'll have links in the description below if you're interested. It's 42 pages of poetry, and I thought I would read you one of the poems from this book. This poem is titled Eyes. You could be my muse, the magic of the night shifting away into stars and dim-lit places even strays don't venture. Cold latte spilled on sidewalks, dried up into an image you'll find in a museum someday, if that artist ever finds a stage. And if the music's amped out into the night, who knows what kind of story that will be? Something you'd stay up for just to trip that moment on repeat. Red lines and a clean verse. Stars fill up my vision and sink into the lights. I'll go ahead and read the very first poem from this collection. It's called An Image of Cherry Blossoms. What would change your life, I guess, is what I'm asking. An image of sakura on a hill over everything once loved and lost, forgotten in the thick air, whispers through branches. You could read that in haiku and not be satisfied. Some people reach out early, but I stand still, collecting petals in wicker baskets, becoming the memory, the claim it happened at all. A tree that came before me, planted and bloomed. Resentment runs through water veins beneath sinking hills. I only graze the surface, wearing knockoff silk. One of us must give to make it right. We look so quiet, like you are the snow, and I keep you from melting. Thank you. And since it's the anniversary of my book being published, I thought I would take this time to do a little introduction video about me. I am Kaye Spivey. That is a pen name. I chose to use a pen name because when I was younger, a lot of writers that I was interested in used pen names or used abbreviation names. J.K. Rowling is an abbreviation. K.A. Applegate is someone I was very, very interested in. Even Mark Twain is a pen name, and so I sort of thought about it like having a superhero identity. You have your real-life personality that people know you and for your job, and it's not like I don't want people in my job to know that I'm a writer, but I feel like there's a certain privacy in having your other persona be a different name. And so my writing name is Kaye Spivey. I've been writing for pretty much all of my life. I've always been interested in poetry. And as far as poetry goes, I'll pretty much read whatever I can find. I have some favorites. I will actually link in the description below some recommendations of my top poetry books. Most of them I read in college originally, some of them I found on my own, but those are ones that I guarantee I loved and that I think you would love as well. I have a couple of goals for this year. One is I've been working on a novel, and last year I wrote its sequel, but that novel needs some work, so I'm going to be rewriting a novel this year. I really want to publish a poetry book. I've been sending it out and working on it pretty much since my chapbook, An Isolated Storm, came out, and I think this is going to be the year for it. If it doesn't get picked up by one of the... I sent it to some of the bigger publishing places, so my chances are not high for them picking it up just because they are high volume places that I sent it out to, but for sure this spring I am going to 100% be announcing a new poetry book coming out, and it's going to be full length. An Isolated Storm is only, I think, 30 6 poems. A full-length book is closer to 50 to 100, and so this is going to be in that range. It's going to be full-length. I'm also going to be working on some short stories to try and publish this year. I've had 1 short story published so far. Shout out to 4 Books' Sake. They are an England-based magazine, and they published The Bathtub, which was a short story I wrote that is now up on my website, actually, if you'd like to read it. It was published 1 year ago on February the 8th. And I'd like to publish some more short stories and really get my prose writing out there. I'm not as confident in prose. Poetry is something that I feel comfortable writing. It's something that I have a strong interest in. It's something I went to college for. I actually specialized. I got a creative writing degree with a focus in poetry from Eastern Washington University. And now I'm going to introduce you to my cats. This is Mulan. She's a brown tabby. She's a rescue. All my life we fostered rescue kittens. We bottle raised them. Mulan was raised by my mom from a litter of kittens who were all named after Disney princesses. Mulan was the warrior though, so she's a little fighter. You can tell it's Mulan because she's stripier and she's very round. She is our little princess. Everything is her way. And she likes to interrupt the videos. She's very playful. She's very food oriented. She's going to be 3 years old this year. And this is Pie. Pie is my baby. Pie was a foster kitten. You're my sweetheart. A foster kitten whose litter was found and given cow milk, and all of his brothers and sisters died from disease. He was the only survivor in his group, which is why his name is Pie, because The Life of Pie came out around that time. You're so struggly. Pie is my baby. I raised him. It was just him and me since he didn't have any siblings. I bottle raised him, took care of him while he was sick, and couldn't give him up. So he has always been my baby. He is, possibly because of the disease that he and his siblings had when he was younger, he's very skinny. He's never gotten over 9 pounds, even though he's a very long, lanky cat, so he appears really skinny, but he's healthy. I spent a lot of time trying to fatten him up, and he just won't have any of it. He's not very food oriented. He's mostly plays oriented. Loves to play. He's also less stripy than Mulan, a little bit spottier. He's also a brown tabby. He's gonna be 4 years old this year, and he actually picked out Mulan. Mulan and Pie are not from the same litter, even though they look similar. Mulan was the last of her litter to get adopted, and she and Pie were both living with my parents at the time, because I was moving around a whole bunch. And Pie decided Mulan was his best friend, and when I decided I was ready to take Pie, I wasn't going to separate him from his best friend, and ended up adopting Mulan as well. So now we're all a happy family. We live with my fiance. I'm engaged. And yeah. They keep my life interesting. I recommend everyone have cats. I love cats. I love all animals. I guess to wrap things up, I will read one more poem from my book, An Isolated Storm, which I didn't show you the back cover. I'm very proud of this. The cherry blossoms. I painted the cover. The cover painting is entirely done by me because I was panicking and couldn't find a cover, so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll just make one. And then this I did for the 2nd edition to wrap around to the back. I'm going to read the first poem I ever had published. This poem was published back in, I don't know, 2008. And it's titled Cure. Use bitter leaves, they say, to cure the cold that leaks beneath the window frame. Use bitter leaves to shake out all the pain. crush them and drink out the oils that kept them green and new. They'll warm the deepest cold. Use bitter leaves, they say. It's the only cure you haven't tried. Use bitter leaves because the sweet fruit's nectar only left you ailing. And that's all for my introduction video. If you have any comments, questions, and you can't find a link to something in the in the description below, then leave me a comment, give this video a like, and please subscribe if you'd like to follow me through my journey to write 100 poems in 100 days for the beginning of 2017. Thank you so much for watching, and I will meet you back here on Saturday. Bye! I really like tea and coffee. I like warm beverages, and I'll pretty much drink whatever. I'm not horribly picky. I just like my drinks to be warm.